All right, all right. I've got the one and only Jorge Espinoza. Welcome to the SIGEP Success Series. He is a Utah Alpha, graduated. Oh my gosh, what year did you graduate?
Well, I'm technically still in school, man. So, yeah.
Let's start with the first degree. Let's start all the way back at Utah State. You've gone on to do some amazing things, and I want to bring that up and talk to you about it. But so quick. When did you graduate Utah State?
So I graduated Utah State with my first bachelor's in 2013. In that, I received a bachelor's in law and constitutional studies. Mm-hmm. That was the first degree I got. And then I went on and I got a second degree. It's a second bachelor's in civil engineering. And that one I finished in 2018. And then I got my master's in structural engineering in 2020. Currently, I'm about to finish my master's in project management at USC. And then I'm also doing my PhD in engineering education and artificial intelligence at Utah State. So you're still with Utah State now. They're not going to let you go. I don't want to go. Yeah, still doing it.
Good for you. But you are currently where? You're not in Utah.
No, I am currently. I just moved. I was in New Orleans, and now I am in Seattle right now. So
you're back because you were in Seattle previously, right?
Yeah.
I've been bouncing around.
I've been bouncing around. Yeah. I was in Seattle. I was in Utah, Seattle, New Orleans, Seattle. So. Yeah.
Man, staying busy. And currently, you are a structural and payload design engineer for NASA, or a branch of NASA, right? Yeah.
So it's kind of I work for Boeing, but Boeing received they won a contract essentially from NASA. And so we essentially built the Artemis rockets. We built the 1, 2, 3, and 4 Artemis rockets that will be going to the moon, hopefully this year, but it might be pushed till next year. But the rocket is essentially all pretty much built. I don't know if you saw a couple of months ago. They took it out in Florida and put it out there
test run.
All pretty, test run, all that stuff. Yeah. So I was involved. I was a stress engineer there in the engine section. So that was the most complicated, section of all the rocket, I guess. But it was a great opportunity. And now I just switched jobs in around March, April. So now I'm working as a 787 structural and payloads design engineer for Boeing. So.
Okay. Wow. Okay, I want to dive into some of those things you said. But first, let's kind of go backwards in time. Actually, give me one more little information about your current. You are married, kids?
I'm married and I have 2 kids. I have a 9-year-old and I have a 4-year-old. So
nice.
Yes.
Very nice. I got the 10-year-old and my youngest is 6. So they're all growing up, which is good. Are you done with kids, or you still got room between your job, your degrees? You still got room for one more kid?
Well, we're still open to the possibility, but I don't know. I don't think so. We've been looking. That's one of the things I want to do is adopt. So that's one of my things. I actually was looking at it last night. Just to remind myself, that there's still kids out there that need help. So. And to push myself, but that's one thing that my wife and I have talked about, and it's definitely, in the cards for us, so.
Wow, dude. All right. I've got a lot to unpack with you because for those that don't know you, I'm going to have you start earlier than college because your backstory, if you don't mind, is pretty impressionable and monumental for where you started and where you are at today. So could you give us a little history synopsis of where did Jorge Espinoza come from? Because, it wasn't where most people would think as far as where you are today. I think you have taken some amazing steps.
Yeah. So I'm originally from Mexico. I was born in Mexico, and I lived there until I was like 13, 14. And then, life in Latin American countries, it's pretty rough, it can be pretty rough. And growing up, my parents had businesses, and they had a couple of businesses, and, they went up, they went down. And then it was like in the 90s, I think, when there was a crash of the Mexican peso, and we lost pretty much everything after that. It was just a struggle. And it was kind of like a Hail Mary, when my parents said, we were kind of homeless for about a year or something like that. And it was a last resort Hail Mary. My parents said, okay, that's enough. We've tried everything. We've done everything. We don't even have a home. We're just bouncing around, and so they decided to come to the U.S. So they came up here and left us, my brother. I have two siblings, so they left myself and my brothers there. And then they came up here, they started working. And then after a few months, we came up, and then right away, started high school, I think. I started high school in I knew some English, but I wasn't.
I was going to say your English was
so
phenomenal, so you soared, right? It was easy.
No, it was hard. It was hard coming into. It's a culture shock, because Latin America is just a different place. It's not. Yeah. It was a big culture shock coming from Latin America, from Mexico, and then coming to Utah, which is, as you know, it's highly. There's not a lot of minorities, if you can say that, and there's also not a lot of diversity in terms of religion, so it was tough, I was used to something else, and then we came in, and, it's just the mindset of the immigrant, it's like, we touched rock bottom, so it was just kind of like, what else could happen, here we go, let's just do it, And so it's kind of exciting, because of all of the new possibilities that we had, and it was, at least for me, it was exciting in that sense, because I saw all of the possibilities that, that could be, so came here, then I went to Logan High, and then graduated Logan High, and then I went to Utah State, so.
Okay, so that answers the question how you got to Utah State. It's Cache Valley. You're
right.
Local, and you wanted a local from high school,
right?
But you wanted to move on to the next step. That's it blows my mind. Because when I met you, you're just another kid, and you were just fit in so perfectly for my group.
Right.
You were phenomenal. So let me ask the question. Let's jump to the fraternity itself. What got you into Sigma Phi Epsilon? Where did you come across it, and what made you jump in?
Yeah, I kind of just stumbled upon SIGAP. I wasn't even thinking about joining a fraternity. I don't even think I knew what it was, but I was a member of the Latino Student Union at Utah State University, and I met somebody that was in SIGAP at the time, and we just became good friends, and he invited me to hang out a couple of times. Sonny Bryant, the famous Sonny Bryant, he's just invited me, just a great guy, just, I don't know, maybe he saw something in me. I don't know. Maybe it's just got along, and he just invited me to hang out a couple of times with his friends. And then all of a sudden, he was inviting me to come along to some of the SIGAP events. And I just like the friendships, and I like the people, I met James Putnam and Alex Putnam, and just great guys, and we just had a great time. And I like that a lot of us were very, we had the same mindset, we put school always in front, the guys that I went to SIGAP with, but because I've heard
this is not me. This is just to clarify. This isn't me. This is the other SIGAPs.
Yeah, because
they put.
Yeah, we're a little younger, because it was Alex, and then we had Brad was in there too. Brad Isom was there, and then Alex Putnam, and then Sonny, and it was just I just got along with them, and then also played a lot of video games, Halo, so that was awesome. So
Definitely no. Well, and also you guys were go-getters. Like you guys were go-getters, all of you. I that was basically as I was transitioning to the alumni president, so I stayed involved on that level. And yeah, you guys were just active within the fraternity, active on campus, active in your classes. You guys just were movers and shakers, and that's kind of course you get along with them. You know, you guys are just like-minded, great people. So let's. What would, if you were to pull a couple memories of SIGEP, what would be a memory or two of like that stands out?
Man, my favorite times at SIGEP were when we played Halo. You know, I don't know if you remember. I don't know if did you live in those apartments? You know, there was like
the duplex.
Yeah.
I didn't live there, but I was there a lot.
Man, that was my favorite time, dude. Because you know we were the younger generation, and then we got to meet you guys, and then coming. I remember like, you know, the duplex had a basement, and then you know the middle floor, and then the top floor, and we just connected. You know, in those times, there was the Ethernet cables. You know, so we connected
running them around outside one door to the other door, and in and up the hallways and.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. I mean, you definitely, you know, you miss those times, you know, because now I don't get any of that, you know, but not just that, but the competition, you know, it was always like, it was a great time, man. And we played for hours and hours, and it was just, those were some of my best memories. Also going on the retreats. Yeah, that was pretty cool too. I don't remember which cabin we went or whose cabin it was, but we went to a cabin and it was awesome. It was just a great time. Yeah. And yeah, some of those were memories that I'll always cherish, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I get it. Absolutely. Okay. In college, we're developing, we're learning, we're growing. I know with SIGEP, we push the Balance Man program. Balance in everything. And I want to hit you up and say, like, okay, you are now in a position, I would say, of great importance, right? You have got to be top of your class in all of these components. When you're talking about a payload of an engine going to space, and you are crucial. I remember I was in first grade during 1986 and the shuttle explosion of that time. And I remember watching that, and that talked about like how serious that is. That kind of shook the whole U.S. You're in charge of that. Like that's kind of the components. And so I look at SIGEP and that balance in life. Like, is there something that you can kind of look back and say that's been with you and been able to help move you along your career to carry that balance and that certain things, habits, traits, things that you would kind of maybe attribute back to college?
Yeah, I mean, just like I told you, you know, like one of the main things that attracted me to SIGEP was all the individuals that we were all having, you know, you could just tell we had the same mindset, you know, and definitely the Balance Man program, it was very beneficial. And it, you know, it doesn't just apply to college, you know, that's something that you can apply in your life, in your personal life, and then in your, you know, at your job or wherever, even in your spiritual life, you know, being able to have the right mindset and believe in yourself, and not just that, but also take care of your body. You know, your physical health is very, very important. You know, this is the vessel that, you know, without it, you can't do anything without your body. You know, you got to watch out after it too, you know. So those things, I've always played sports, you know, and I've always thought about sports as they're always, you can find a way to push your mind and your body at the same time, you know, when you're going on that run. And I don't like running myself, but you know, when I'm playing soccer, you know, and then pushing yourself through those times when you think you're tired and you think you're done, and then all of a sudden you just keep going, you know, and those are just things that anyone would be able to use in any aspect of their life. You know, if you want to become a better individual, I think, you know, the Balance Man program is definitely a good way to start, you know. And in college, you know, sometimes you're just young and you don't think about, a lot of the decisions that you take, but I think a program like the Balance Man, that definitely, kind of helps you put it into perspective, or at least gets you an introduction into it, because a lot of times when you're in college, you just want to have fun and party and, and that's all right too, because those things, you need to do those things,
but it's also, I think you hit it when you say we played hard, like you play late in the evening.
Oh yeah.
It's a one thing I would say I attributed to Balance Man was play hard, work hard, right?
Yep.
When it's time to work, when we had a program we had to facilitate or service time that we were doing, like we showed up, we worked, we did it because we knew I'm going to dedicate this much time to playing, but I'm also going to dedicate equal time just focused in work or school, right, or whatever we needs to get done at the time. And I definitely saw that in you. So you graduate, you go on. Let's talk kind of to the undergrads a little bit. When did you want to become, I guess, did you start out thinking you'd be an engineer, mechanical, structural, civil engineer with all this AI learning and so forth? When did you kind of start this pathway?
I mean, I don't really, man, it's just ever since I was young, man, I've always been like, I don't want to say I'm good at stuff, but like, I just pick up stuff and then I just do it until I'm good at it. And I don't know, I always like, for example, I played soccer growing up and I was good. And then I did skateboarding too. And I was good too, or I like to believe I was, and then I picked up drawing and I was good at it too. And then I picked up, math. I was good at math too. And then physics. So I don't know. It's just, I've always had a very big, broad set of interests, and I'm not a high believer of putting labels on, you're good at math, so you can only be a mathematician, or a physicist, or nah, man. Like, I think if you want to try something, you go ahead and try it. But if you're going to try it, then, make sure you work hard, Mm-hmm. And so, growing up, I wanted to be a soccer player, but then I was good at drawing. So I was like, maybe I'll be an architect and then, but I'm good at arguing. So maybe I'll be a lawyer, so,
hence the law and constitutional studies.
And yes. Yes, and I enjoy I studied law and constitutional studies. I was going to go to law school, but I saw how expensive it was, and it was not possible for me. It was just too expensive. So that's why I was like, okay, I got to go. At that time I had a family, so I said, you know what, it's either law school, an MBA, or going back and doing engineering. So I decided to do engineering. I didn't know it was going to pan out. I said, I'm going to try out one semester and see if it works. You got to try it out. So I came back and I did that. And I remember I took my statics class and it was hard, but I kind of fell in love with it. And I was like, I can see myself doing this. So I went with it. And all of a sudden, I went on and I got my master's and studying law, it served me well because a lot of times engineers forget about the main responsibility of an engineer is not to make more money or or because your dad did it, but that's the response you'll get when you ask a lot of engineers is because I'm good at math or because my dad did it or because my uncle is an engineer. That's the response you'll get. But I came in as going into engineering for a lot of reasons, but the main reason was because of the social responsibility that an engineer has to push the envelope forward, to push humanity. That was the main reason, and then number two, I wanted to take care of my family. So engineering is always a great place to do that, And I just, studying political science, I just got reminded of individuals like Ben Franklin, I mean, that guy was a polymath. Back in the day, these individuals, they were polymaths. They were not stopped by, oh, man, like, you're good at math, so that's your box, No.
They just kept learning.
Benjamin Franklin, scientist, but also a great politician, and then also an ambassador. I mean, all these individuals, they were not restrained by labels, and so I see myself, by the study of history and by the study of political science, I see myself as one of those individuals. I don't like a label. If I want to go and pursue another career or another job or, a business, whatever it is, then I feel like I shouldn't be putting a label on myself, especially, because when other people put labels on you, that's one thing. But when you put it on yourself and you start believing those labels, then you have a problem.
Yeah, well, and you pigeonhole yourself. You kind of get stuck, and you don't think past that outside the box. Like, you've gone on, and looking at your further career, obviously into artificial intelligence, you are continuing to move forward, and that is crucial. Is never, and that starts at college, or starts even before college, but never stop learning. Never stop learning.
Exactly. Yeah, never stop learning. Like, one thing I see is when people go to school or when they stop learning is they'll start for a little bit and then they stop, and that's the problem, they see maybe how that you got to work hard, and then they stop. And I'm also, I've done it too, but I try not to do those things, I try to work on things little by little, even if because a lot of times I'll be super busy, but I'll try even doing like one little thing at a time, even if it's slowly, but you're still moving,
Mm-hmm.
You're still moving. And I think a lot of people underestimate the power of just getting things done little by little, little by little. And all of a sudden you're right there. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Don't underestimate the power of, doing little things. Little things matter.
So so again, talking to undergrads, where would you say if as an undergrad, I want to go work for Boeing or NASA? Across your journey, would you have done things differently? You obviously have continued the education, you've been flexible at moving. Some people don't want to leave Utah. Some people don't want to leave the comforts of what they know. You've obviously going from Mexico to the U.S. and then state to state, you're that openness has given you great opportunities. Looking back though, if I wanted to let's say, go in and work for NASA, would you have done things different that I could glean some information off of?
If you wanted to work for NASA, or Boeing, you definitely, or Boeing, or any aerospace company, you definitely got to go get an engineering degree. I'm a structural engineer, but you can get a lot of different, you could just go into aerospace engineering or mechanical engineering, or I'm civil and then structural, so that obviously worked out. But they mostly hire aerospace engineers. So if you really want to work for NASA or Boeing, doing engineering stuff, then go get an aerospace engineering degree. It'll definitely open the doors a lot more, because they don't hire a lot of civil engineers to come do structural work. I just tried. So
you showed that tenacity.
Definitely. They hire a lot. They hire from a lot of companies like Georgia Tech or Embry-Riddle, or not a lot of people from Utah State. There's only a few of us.
Now we do have the Space Dynamics Lab. So did you?
Right.
Is that going to Utah State? Does that play a role? How much do you guys get involved with that? Obviously, aerospace engineer versus your path. So are you? Actually, let me take this back a little bit and rephrase. Would it be better if you were to do it all over again? Would you go more aerospace engineer, or you like?
No, I like civil. I think it gives me that flexibility. I just like standing, being different from everybody else, because most of the people I work with are aerospace engineers. So, for me, I think I don't look at those things as a weakness. I look at it as a strength, and I know I'm very aware of one of my main strengths is how flexible I am, and I think a lot of people lack that because, again, they put themselves in a label. I'm this, so I can only do this. I'm not like that. I don't think of myself as that, and I like being different, I've had some people question well, why did you do political science and then civil engineering, blah, 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 so no, not everybody is going, some people are going to doubt you, but I think it's mostly if you doubt yourself, then you lose,
Nice.
That is, I think, the problem. Because I was told a lot of times, you can't do this, you can't work here because, this and that. So, but just don't let that, drag you down. It's always about, if you believe in yourself, you can pretty much do anything that you want, So.
Awesome. Amen, man. That's beautiful. Is there anything you wish you knew before you started that career?
Well, if you go into engineering, you will not have a lot of a social life. I was a little older, but if you go into engineering, you will not have, even if you are a genius, it's still a lot of work, it's still a lot of work. So be prepared to work weekends and work late, and be prepared to give up a lot of things, but there's some people that want it and some people that don't, and don't be discouraged too. If you fail an exam or two, it's okay,
Learn and adapt.
Stuff happens.
Yeah.
Exactly.
During your career thus far, what has been one of the hardest things you've had to deal with and overcome?
I don't know. Honestly, I think my master's degree was actually harder than work. So, work is hard, but it's not as hard as school. I would say, at least my master's degree, because, when I was doing my master's degree in structural engineering, we were, you'd be in school in classes all day long, and then you still have to do homework and then projects. So it was just a constant go, 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 go. At least with work, it stops when it stops, And so I think Utah State prepared us really well. Our classes were very small, so we got to learn a lot of good stuff. And when I came into, I work with some of the brightest minds out there, and, I never had any issues, I don't think, understanding what I had to do whenever I had to do stress analysis or anything like that. And there's always people that you can lean on, that are always willing to help you. So I think maybe one of the hardest things is understanding all the processes that it takes to, get an idea into a product, and then from product to implementation. It's a lot of work, and a lot of times I think that would probably be the hardest thing. And, even then I'd still say it's not as hard as my master's degree. So.
All right. I want to ask the question because getting so much education, obviously kids nowadays and tuition costs have been ridiculous. Like that is something I look at my 10-year-old, your 9-year-old, by the time they're in college, I can't imagine the price. Are you, tips and tricks? I'm guessing you're a smart man, Jorge. I believe you're probably leveraging your resources working for Boeing, utilizing the programs that some of these corporations have set up. Is that?
Yeah, Boeing pays for my education, and then the PhD was, I also didn't pay for it. It was being paid by Utah State. So yeah, I didn't, once you get into these companies, they offer a lot of awesome benefits, that you can use, so yeah, I'm not paying for my
so even the university you're able to tap into and work the system for that continued education.
Right.
That's fantastic. Again, you're smarter than the average person, I'd say, because a lot of people don't, and that's the thing. We look at school and it's so expensive, and it's like, well, there's opportunities. There are so many opportunities, but you just got to work for them. Like you talked about earlier, it's like, it's a hard thing, but if you just do it daily, like I look at freshmen. I've looked at my nieces and nephews, them going to school and applying for degrees, and I have one niece who literally she just applied to. I want to say she said it was 350 applications of scholarships.
Why?
scholarships,
okay.
not applications. They call it universities, but she wanted to go to Utah State. She did go to Utah State, but she applied for 350 scholarships. Now, granted, some of them were like $400, but some of them were $1,000, $2,000, and out of 350, she had full tuition paid for and covered and housing, but she had to do the work.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot of work. That's a lot of applications, man. That's some.
She literally was doing 3 a day for 6 months. And that was kind of her goal, is like, I'm going to do this. And in high school, she structured it, and she's like, all right. And I kind of look at you like, you're carrying work, you're carrying home, you're carrying education. You've got to just, like you said it, it's the baby steps. It's the constant movement towards progress.
Yeah. It's just little by little, man. That's, I think, because sometimes when I think about a big goal, I'm like, geez, dude, you get like overwhelmed, by all this stuff that it takes. But it's like, okay, what I try to do is I forget about the big goal. I have it in the back of my head, but then I'm like, okay, where do I start? So I'll start doing this. And then little by little, I'll start, chipping at it. And all of a sudden, even if it takes me years, boom, I'm there, so.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, let's do some outside of career. I want to just know more about you and your personality, how it's changed over the decades. You brought something up that I want to kind of, if money was, we work because we have to work, right? To make do and provide and for a family and so forth. And you're looking at adoption and that costs money. But let's just say, money is no object. You have all the money that you'll ever need. What would you do with your time?
If money was no object, I would love to just spend about 4 or 5 hours just reading and just, reading, man. I love reading. So reading and just doing whatever I want to do and spending more time with my family. And just introducing them to new cultures. That's what I would do.
Awesome. Follow up on that then.
Right.
Reading. Give me 2 books that you would recommend we'd look into.
I just started reading a book called it's in macroeconomics.
Okay.
And so I just started reading it, and then it's excellent because I don't know a lot. I mean, I know some stuff about economics, but I'm not an expert, so I'm trying to understand better of, how the world works and how the stock market works and all that stuff. But I mean, that's an excellent book. And then, with going down and understanding the stock market, I've also read a book in technical analysis. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's basically looking at, each of the graph of stocks, and based on certain movements and certain patterns and volumes, you can kind of
some prediction ability,
make some predictions. Based on
something
those
about
things.
87%. So, that's a pattern. Something about a drop of 87%, which we're right on the precipice of.
No, but even that, it just takes practice. Yeah. I've been doing it for a few years, and I'm getting better. At recognizing the patterns and at reading the volumes and all that stuff, and then combining it with my understanding of macro economics, I think it'll be a great tool for me to use to get to that level, and I enjoy it. I definitely enjoy it. I would say if money wasn't an object, I would just read and just honestly trade.
I love it. Not only are you like, I'm going to keep the education, I'm going to keep what I'm doing degree wise, and then I got work, and then I've got home. I want to keep learning in my spare time. I love it. Absolutely love it. Good for you. We get too caught up, and I'm guilty of this, of just random garbage that occupies our space.
Oh, I mean, I do it too, but and this is not something that I just picked up, like I said, it's been years. I read that technical analysis book in 2018, and then I've read most of Tony Robbins' books, and then I've read Rich Poor,
David Kawasaki,
Poor Dad,
Robert
Kawasaki. That guy, and then I'm reading macroeconomics. I forget the author. I have it here, and then I also read the book with Ray Dalio. I've read both of his books, Principles of Something, and then the other one is it is also about understanding the world in a macro at a macro level. He goes through he explains to you all the empires, and how the changes of power have a lot to do with the stock market and all these things. It's an excellent book.
I believe a brother of ours, Nate Putnam, he has actually brought that book up into a conversation multiple times.
It's an excellent
I need to get
book.
that on my list. Good. Very good for you, man. That's awesome. Outside, obviously, we all find, through college, through life, we find those influential people. Share with us just one influential person, and why are they an influence to you?
I would say my mom and my dad, man. I mean, I know a lot of people have heroes that, and I do too, to a certain extent, but, just my mom and my dad, they taught me how to work hard and how to make sacrifices. They've made a lot of sacrifices to get us to where we are, so they've always been a great influence in my life. So anything that I am, is because of them.
Family, man.
So
I get it. What going across? So if we have an opportunity to interact with any of the undergrads, what would you want them to know about you? So if you went to a homecoming game, hanging out at the tailgate, and an undergrad's going to come up to you, what's something that you want them to know about you specifically?
I mean, I don't know, man. I'm friendly. As long as you're respectful towards me, I'll be respectful back. It's a give and take. But I'm always willing to talk to anybody. I know some people, or I've met some people that are successful, and they're like, "No, I don't have time for you." And that I don't get it. I don't think that's it's always a good. I think it is a wise time. Helping others is always time that is wisely spent, So, I mean, if you're willing to work hard too, if you ask for my help and you're willing to work hard, then I'm there to help you, So.
Okay. You heard it. If you ever see Jorge on the street, say hi. What's next for you? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Obviously, this has been since 2012. You've done 10 years. You've done a lot. What's the next 5 or 10 years for you?
I kind of know where I'm going towards, but I don't know. I kind of hate that question at the same time. I know it's very helpful because it gives you sort of like a framework of sort of where you want to be in life, but it's my experience that I've made plans and life just throws something at you, and all of a sudden it's life, So I don't know where I'll be in 5 years. I don't know if I'll still be working at Boeing. I can tell you I'm doing, working towards me not depending on a job for anything, I'm buying properties. I am investing in the stock market. I am investing in myself. And then also my wife and I, we've been planning, to launch a couple of businesses. So we're also doing that, little by little, but we're working at it. And in 5 years, I would like to not be, I'd like to be working more because you want to, you know what I mean? Not because you need to, if that makes sense. Because I enjoy working in aerospace. I do, and I get paid well, but for all the education, all the experience, I don't think I get paid well enough. You know what I'm saying? And so when you don't think that, then, it is my fault in a sense, for not searching more opportunities, going at it harder, and I always blame myself whenever I don't accomplish something in my life. I think it's kind of dumb if you blame others, or, but it's always at least for me, it's always my fault. If I'm not accomplishing something, it's my fault. Even if it's sometimes, I didn't do, I still say, well, I could have done better. I could have done this and that and that, I think that provides some accountability, and when you're accountable to yourself, that's a great thing to sort of practice and do.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, man, you're hitting some notes for me that I'm just like that. I don't do, I'm definitely not as dedicated as you. And I realize, like, when I stop pushing myself, I stay flat. And then I look back 3 months and I'm like, what have I done? What have I accomplished? And it's like, I'm an entrepreneur, self-employed, and it's like, unless what you're doing right now is diversifying that portfolio, right? That's the key is have money work for you rather than you work for the money. And that's something I've subscribed to a while back. And so, I work for myself, and I've set up things, and I've built things that are kind of paying dividends on that end, and I'm happy, but I'm also not growing. Like, unless I put in the work, I also don't grow, and I have to put in the work. And it's like, it goes back to, again, what you said. It's the constant. And if I stop, I'm falling a little bit, or I look back and I have that self-regret. Maybe everybody else is looking at me going, no, you're doing well. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing well. I have this conversation with my wife constantly that I'm like, if I'm not constantly doing something, I'm bummed with myself. Like because I know I'm capable of doing more. I can juggle 5 things. When I juggle 5 things, I'm happy. When I juggle one thing, I'm not self-satisfied.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're doing great, man. I know, I've seen your business, and I think you're doing awesome. And, also I think it's important to, I've seen all, like you just took your family on a vacation, right? That kind of stuff is very important, at least for the kids, because, that will pay off dividends too, because you're growing their spirit, their mind, and so that's a very important thing. That's why, it sucks kind of to move and bounce around. Yeah, it sucks, but I've seen the impact it has on my kids, and how, they've lived in different cultures, they're part of different cultures. And I know, that is something that it's invaluable, man, especially at those ages. You open their brains, their minds, and anything is possible, and at the end of the day, those opportunities that you offer for your family, not, for your wife and your kids, that when you look back in life, when you're about to, kick the bucket, I think you'll remember those things, and you'll be remembered for those things by the people that matter,
But you said it first. It's like, it's the experiences of so macroeconomics, right? It's a global economy. There's not one country that doesn't affect another country in some way. And that's what I want to instill in my children. You moved from New Orleans to Seattle, 2 very different cities. Been to both of them, very different cities. Some of the same problems, but as far as culture and background. Your kids growing in that. And that's kind of my goal is my kids. I want them to experience the world and live where there's bugs and you have to throw the toilet paper in the trash can versus the toilet. And like these little things that we take for granted, because hopefully they grow up to be balanced individuals. And when they see somebody from a different country, or they meet somebody that looks different than them, they're not afraid to go and approach them and have that conversation and get involved, because those are the rewards is experiences and what we gain from those experiences. So. So I'm also guilty of that. Like sometimes when I'm not doing enough, I definitely feel bad about it. I try not to, but I definitely feel bad about it. And I think that's just, I don't know. At least from the people I've talked to that have the same mindset or traits that I do, that's something that we all kind of share, and, but it's good and bad, but it's good to forget about those things when you go on with your family, but then, I think it serves me well because it keeps me accountable, if that makes sense, If
if I wasn't feeling bad about it, if I wasn't doing that, then I wouldn't be accountable to myself. And then I don't respond to anybody, my wife, but even then my wife, she knows what I'm doing, but she doesn't know the extent of all the stuff I do, like all the study I put in, all the stocks that I'm trading, or the real estate that I'm looking at. She will, I'll bring it up to her and I'll talk to her about it because we both make the decision. But, I'm the one doing all the analysis or all that stuff, and so, but it helps you to be accountable, and so that's a great thing to have nowadays, man. I think a lot of people forget about that, being accountable to yourself. And if you're not accountable to yourself, then you're going to struggle in life. You're never gonna hit those goals or objectives that you have, So,
well, Jorge, I could definitely say, man, you've grown up to be that balanced man. Man, you were back then. You were always impressive in the sports and the gaming and the education. Like you were definitely smarter than me, and you still are smarter than me. Leaps and bounds, and I love that you're in my brotherhood. I love that I could request and say, "Hey, Jorge, can I talk to you?" And you're open for it. Man. So, thank you.
Yeah, no, I think this is a great thing that you're doing because, networking is fundamental to get places. If you having a good network of individuals will get you very, very far in life. And so, being able to connect with people like you it's awesome, man. So I applaud you for the effort. I think this is phenomenal. And I think, because we have a lot of great individuals, Nate Putnam, Zach Ames, and then who else? Scotty Biggs, Sonny Bryant. I mean, those are people that are doing stuff out there, I mean, it is very vital to keep the network going, and so.
Well, I'm excited to continue to follow up with you in the future, catch you in 5 to 10 years and see where you're self-sustaining, doing all this, all these other random projects and still learning. So, man, brother, I love you. Thank you so much for all that you've done and continue to do. I'm excited to see your futures shoot up in the space.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me. And, anytime. I'm just an I am away.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later.